Shailene made her fingerprints dance over the blurry contour of the letter at the cover of the book while she read Homage to Catalonia by George Orwell. She thought it was curious that she found it buried between some bushes being a known novel. It raised the cover, and in the first page she noticed that there were some notes saying, "Break the chains and let your mind fly."
The first pages of the book were broken, and just the margins of these had remained. And this way it was the volume began in the chapter 2.
He started once more to the irregular horizon because of the tops of the leafy hills, dressed up with the reflection of an orange dusk. The breeze sneaked fresh through the folds of the shirt, embracing her in the bosom of the dream.
Shailene began to read.
The first thing that she felt was the beastly cold with dense mists that came swirling up from nowhere. The sky had dressed of grey, and the sun had decided to hide and give stead to a column of black smoke that was ascending up to the infinite.
It perceived a smell of excrement and decaying food. The still of the last awake bird was replaced by shouts and blasts of ballet. Instinctively, Shailene threw herself to the ground and covered her head with her arms. Then she reminded that it was only an illusion.
As she ascended through the path of a nearby hillside, she saw that the vegetation had almost disappeared. The borders of the hills were scarcely perceptible by the dense black cloud that had invaded the place. Even this way, Shailene could see that the green was too frightened to be seen, and the little that remained was of a yellowish color. Not even the carbonized rest of the flowers were there, and this being spring.
It came to the top of the hill, lightning populated where corpses and where the smell of sulphur intensified. She met a few soldiers who were running from one side to another, and settling themselves under the small walls crowned by sacks full of sand.
Shailene walked along a trench disrupted by the rain of desperation that was blowing the surreality. In spite of the time in that moment, she knew that the climate by the endings of the 30s were much more humid than the one of the current 3 years in her world. She let her eyelids close and her mind to get out of the illusion.
Now the trees was no more than a way of dry sand with some filaments of glass beginning to show off between the stones. The slow and soft breeze had returned to feel the environment removing any hair-breaking shout of the past to where it had to be.
She entered a small structure sunk in the ground that was at the bottom, which name could not remember, but yes its function: to organize and to protect. She saw some planks of wood arranged parallel in a room close to the white walls. There was not much more there. It was too empty.
She went out of the building, down for the hillside and ran through road that would between yellow, infertile fields, towards a cuvier. It was late no more than 1 hour in each. She was submarining in the reading. She was running, and when she was returning to the pleasant reality, slowed down the step so could admire the sunset.
One of these times in which she still heard the distant pealing of the bullets bouncing between the hills, she reached the village people through morasses of mud. Part of the buildings were now only describable as rubble, and most of the houses pockmarked by rifle bullets.
She closed her eyes and separated the mind from the book.
The buildings had been reconstructed and repainted. The holes of the bullets were now scarcely perceptible at simple glance. Céline decided to return to his original position under the dark mantle called night. There she started the landscape from two historical points of view once again. She got surprised by the fact that the same place could be so different. It was strange to think that so beautiful and poor place like this then was nearby to be destroyed by humanity.
She closed the book and placed it softly between the verses that has appeared.
Stories always return to us.